And that's it. Now let's talk about book conversions. Once you have in hand a book that has been proofread and finalized and it's ready to go, there's one thing that you still want to look at, which is the book cover. In order to get your book to convert fairly well, you need to have, the book, some sort of summary, but most importantly, the book cover. Because people, unfortunately, do judge a book by its cover. And your book cover is the first thing people will see. So you want to make sure that you choose your images and your book designer and creator wisely. Because when somebody looks at that book image, it has to appeal to them. It has to appeal to that particular audience. And at the same time, it has to be congruent with what your story or what your book is all about. And when I mean congruent, when somebody looks at your book cover, they are going to have some sort of assumption. And that assumption, when they buy the book, they expect to have that book fulfill their answers, answer their questions, solve their problems, and this and that. So if it's a fiction book, obviously it's not nonfiction. If it's fiction, it's meant to entertain. If it's nonfiction, it's most likely meant to solve a problem. But what I mean by that is you want to make sure that your book is aligned with the book content itself. And because you want to avoid refunds. If your book cover is about a picture, let's say, of a dog, maybe a golden retriever puppy being trained, and your book is really about something else like dog training, not necessarily puppy training, and specifically a golden retriever puppy training, and it's not specified on the front cover of the book itself, you may get some refunds. Because the expectation is that somebody is looking for a golden retriever puppy training book, but instead they got something slightly different. So they will be upset and most likely refund the book. So that's why book conversions are so important. Now, unless you can really create a stunning cover yourself, it's better off to get a professional to handle it for you. Let me explain and show you exactly where to find a book designer that can do a very good job for you. Okay, now there are two different ways that you can do this. Number one, you can outsource this to a graphic book designer. And that's what I highly recommend that you do. Simply because the design that you're going to get back is going to be very customized to your liking. And there's some stuff that book designers can do that we as non-graphic designers just cannot do. So it's just better to get somebody who knows what they're doing and really enjoys what they're doing versus you trying to do it yourself. Now, there are template systems out there where you can get pre-made book templates, or you can even use a book templating system, which I'll show you as well. So I want to provide you with two different routes that you can take, but I'd highly recommend that you take the first one. So there is a particular site that I use called odesk.com. Odesk.com is really, really awesome. You're able to find freelancers, which are basically people who will be doing work for you. In this case, what we want to do is we want to type in book graphic design or book covers and this and that. So we could say book cover graphic design. Click on search. And this is the type of criteria that I use. I want anybody with 4.0 stars and above. Now, to be strict, if I can't find anybody, I'll move it up to 4.5 stars and above. So I'm going to choose that. Hourly rate, I found that anybody with above $5 at least. I don't want anybody below that, just from experience. But you can try any variation that you want. So we're going to say $5 to $20 per hour. And you can do two different types of projects. You can do fixed term projects and you can also do hourly projects. But this is just a way to weed out people who may not have as much feedback. We're going to just say 1 hour. In terms of hours billed, that means that they have had projects in the past. You can also do 100 hours plus hours. That means people who have been on Odesk for a long, long time. Location, you can pick any location that you want. In this case, we're going to leave it as it is. Now that I'm done with that, what I'll normally do is this. I will normally begin to open these up in new windows. Now, you can't really see that right now because I have my browser in such a way, but you can set it up, and we're going to open these tabs up. And my goal here is simply to open all these tabs up so that I can get a better bird's eye view of the types of people that I'm dealing with. So you can see overview here to get an idea of what they can do, but I don't really look at that. I look at the feedback and the work history, because that really tells you what they have done and if they have experience in certain areas like create space cover designs. If you want to do Amazon create space, this person has previous experience, which means you don't have to retrain them or ask them to do it and learn it from scratch. So find somebody that can already do it. That would be great. Now, in order to see their portfolio, you have to have an account. I would advise you, if you don't have an account, go ahead and create an account. Now, you can also see the skills that they have, but most importantly, the tests that they have taken. So I tend to look at the portfolio, the work history and feedback, and the tests that they have taken. So as you can see, English spelling test is about 16 percentile, which is great because that tells us if we give them a specifications of exactly what book cover we want, most likely Eugene will be able to come back and understand exactly what we want. Now, MS Word test, that doesn't really matter because we want somebody who is fluent with Adobe Photoshop. So he is 57th percentile of Photoshop. Now, I would do the same thing. I would scroll down, look at every single person, get an idea of who may be a good candidate. And what I would normally do after that is I would think, okay, I found a bunch of people that have really good skill sets that I need. Now what you want to do is simply post a job and then invite them to the job. Now you can't actually contact them until you invite them to your job to apply to your job. So you have to have a job position open in order to contact them. When you contact them, you'll invite them to your project, and then they, of course, can contact you, talk to you, and so forth. But that's just the way that I use in order to find a good graphic designer in terms of books. Is number one, make sure that they have experience, and number two, make sure that they have good feedback and work history. And number three, take a look at their tests and skill sets. And number four, take a look at their portfolio to see whether their style of design is what you want. Because not all the graphic designers out there will have the same style. Everybody has a different style. So you got to keep that in mind. There's a site called getabookcover.com which will allow you to purchase affordable pre-made book covers. And as you can see, we clicked on the thriller category for this specific site, and you can see a lot of pre-made book covers that you can just simply buy and then customize them and get somebody else to customize it for you at Fiverr.com if you want to do so. Another site is called damonza.com, and at this point you can find somebody who will actually do the ebook cover for you. So it's not really you do it yourself. Now, moving back to a do-it-yourself type site, there's a site called selfpubbookcovers.com. This site will allow you to actually customize your book. Let me give you an example. If we click on thriller/mystery, you can actually see book covers that you can customize. Sort of like the previous website that I showed you where you could actually purchase the book covers and customize them. But in this place, you can actually buy one, use their system that they will allow you to use to customize the title, the author name, the subtitle, and things like that. So this is another option that you can take if you want to go down this route.